These are our 52 first through third grade students.
Oh, cool. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Okay, we've been talking about American Education Week, and we'd just like to ask you what types of classes the kids might take, or what things they should really look at doing to maybe become an expert on earthquakes or plate tectonics.
So that's a hard...
Oh, no.
You know what you really need most in the future is be good in math, be good in all the basic stuff. Just be good in the basic stuff, and then when you get to high school and beyond, then you can start taking specialized things if you're interested in tsunamis or earthquakes and things like that. But mostly you got to kind of build up a base core skills like math and all sorts of sciences. That's what I think.
Okay, and then could you tell us a little bit about your job at Oregon State University?
So I'm a geologist, and I was lucky. Geology in high school was like the only school in the state that had geology class, and that got me going. And so I went on to get a master's degree and a PhD in geology, and then I got interested in earthquakes mostly, and that's what I do now. So you kind of get more and more specialized as you go on, and so big earthquakes got me interested partly because the science is interesting, but also partly because they affect people and how people interact with the earth becomes really important when you have earthquakes and tsunamis and even big typhoons like the volcanoes and impacts. So I just thought it was cool to do something sciencey and help people.
Excellent. The students have some questions that they've come up with for you. We'll start with Lucas.
Hi, Dr. Chris. My name is Lucas. When do you think the first earthquake happened?
When do you think the first earthquake happened?
Oh, the first earthquake ever?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Since we're on Earth, I guess we have to limit it to just Earth. So the Earth is about 4.6 billion years old, and so the first earthquake probably happened, right as the Earth was forming. They probably had far back in time when the Earth was first forming, they probably had a lot more earthquakes than we do now. But that'd be my guess. I'm not really sure.
Excellent. Frederick.
Hi, Dr. Chris. My name is Fred. What happens to water that goes down into the ocean?
Hi, Frederick. So you asked what happens to the water that goes down into a fault line in the ocean. That's a good question. What happens is the water in faults underwater and even faults on land actually has a lot to do with controlling how the blocks of rock slip together. And so during earthquakes, it really matters a lot how much water is in the fault. And so sometimes faults can slip smoothly because they're really highly pressurized with water, and sometimes there is and sometimes not. So the water is really important. Even in little tiny faults, like you might have heard lately, sometimes there are little earthquakes and people pump water into the ground, and sometimes you can cause really small earthquakes by doing that. So water is really important.
Okay, thank you.
Great question.
Hi, Dr. Chris. My name is Evan. In an earthquake area, is it better to build a house underground or on the surface?
Well, thanks, Evan. That's a good question. Most people don't build houses underground, so I don't know how well they do in earthquakes. But probably they would do pretty well because the house underground can't fall over. But on the other hand, if it's really well connected to the ground and the ground's moving, that might not work out. So I don't really know. But houses above ground can do really well, like the houses we all mostly live in are made out of wooden frames, and the wooden frames do really well because they're a little bit flexible and move around during the earthquake. Oh, yeah, that's a good question. And, I'd say the answer is yes. And the reason is that you could have earthquakes in two places at once, just at random, or sometimes an earthquake in one place can trigger an earthquake to go off in another place. And that's because the energy from the earthquake, the waves and the stress, can actually change the stress in another place and cause another earthquake, even pretty far away. So yeah, that's it.
Aaron.
Hi, Dr. Chris. My name is Aaron. Why do volcanoes happen?
Why do volcanoes happen? Well, some kinds of volcanoes, like the kinds we have in Oregon, if you could see out my window, you see some volcanoes out there. And those volcanoes are tied to a big fault that we have here called the convection zone. And so what happens is one of the Earth's plates dies underneath another one like this, hits down deep enough. Some of that stuff down there melts when it comes back up to the surface of the volcano. So almost all of them, not almost all, but a lot of the volcanoes on Earth are in long, straight chains that are tied to convection zones like the one we have here. That probably covers maybe 90% of the volcanoes on Earth. Good question. Answer is no. Right now we have no way to predict earthquakes. So there's really nothing that we have to use that can do that. People try to sort of forecast earthquakes, like there's more of a chance of an earthquake in the future, but that's kind of like the weather a little bit. It's based on what happened in the past. It's not that we can see it coming. So I wish we could, but not right now. Good question.
Okay, Maddie.
Hello, Dr. Chris. My name is Maddie. How do tectonic plates make mountains?
Oh, that's a good question. So you all know that tectonic plates move around on the Earth's surface, and they're kind of being driven by circulation inside the Earth's mantle. And basically, mountains happen when two plates bump together, and they're being forced together by forces deeper within the Earth. And wherever they crash together, they form a mountain. And we've only known that since the early 1960s. Before that, people had really no idea where mountains came from. But that's pretty much it. Wherever the plates bang together, you get yourself a mountain. Why do they erupt all the time?
Why don't they?
Oh, why don't they? Oh, okay. Oh, well, yeah, that's a good question. I'll tell you what happens is when the magma comes up through the volcano and erupts for a while, eventually the local force that's forcing it out of the volcano will run out. And so there's just enough force, and the magma that's in the volcano will solidify and freeze and block the pipe. So volcanoes go off because the local force builds up to a point where it forces its way out. But there isn't, it's kind of like when you take up a Coke can and pop the top, it goes off for a second, but then the force runs out. You only have so much energy that you can get out of one Coke can. And so it eventually stops. But the force that's bringing that material up towards the surface will then start to build up again, reaches a point where it can break through the surface, and it will go off. That's why they don't just go off and off and off. Otherwise, the whole inside of the earth is just torn out.
That makes sense. Okay, our next question.
Hello, Dr. Chris. My name is Noah. Do earthquakes cause volcanoes to erupt?
Oh, that's a really great question. What was your name again?
Nolan.
Nolan. Okay, Nolan. Yeah, so that's a good question, and the answer is sometimes. So what happens in some kinds of earthquake where the earth is got two plates that are pressing together or diving underneath one, and you have pressure build up, then when you have the earthquake, it actually releases some of that pressure. And when it does, the pipes that are leading to the volcano actually get opened up a little bit. And so that makes it come up through the pipes or up through the crack. And so, yeah, an earthquake can trigger a volcano to go off. So the biggest earthquake we've ever had was in Chile in 1960. And the next day, a big volcano went off in Chile, just right nearby.
Excellent, thank you.
Hello, Dr. Chris. My name is Olivia. Is it safer to be inside or outside during an earthquake?
Oh, that's a good question too. Well, it kind of depends on what your building you're in is like and what outside is like. So if you're in a, if outside is not in a big city, so you can just run outside easily, and there's a playground or a grassy field or a football field is outside, then it's probably better to be outside. But sometimes if you're in a big city with tall buildings, it's not so safe to go outside because then you have falling glass. Parts of the buildings might be falling off, so you're probably better off inside, in a place like that. So there's no one good answer. You just have to know a little bit about, the kind of building you're in and what's outside and how fast you can get there. But that's a great question. It's a hard decision to make.
Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Chris. My name is Claudia. Do you think the Mount St. Helens volcano will erupt again soon?
I kind of hope so. It'd be really fun if it did. Geologists, we think this stuff is fun. Some people don't think so. But, so right now Mount St. Helens has all kinds of instruments all over it. So they can tell when the volcano is sort of inflating with more magma. They can tell when it's having more earthquakes. You can literally hear the magma moving around inside. So if it does, we'll know. But right now it has a dome growing in it, so it's starting to grow back to its original height. That could take as much as 5,000 or 10,000 years, though. It's a really long time. So right now it doesn't really show any signs of going off, but that could change any time. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Dr. Chris, my name is Amy. How strong can an earthquake be and how do we measure it?
Well, that's a good question. So we use a magnitude scale. It basically goes from 1 to 10. And the biggest earthquake we've ever had was a magnitude 9.5, Chile in 1960, the one I just mentioned. And it was the strongest release of energy anywhere on Earth ever, as far as anybody knows. So volcanic explosions are much less powerful. You have to relate it to something you know. I mean, the numbers are so big, it's hard to imagine. But like Mount St. Helens was only maybe 1/100th of the energy of that earthquake. And the big typhoon in the Philippines that melted on the roof was maybe 1/100th of that also. really, but there's a possibility if you, for a really small earthquake, some really small earthquakes, you actually can influence them by pumping water into the ground, like we talked about earlier. So you can't really stop it. You might be able to slow it down, or you might be able to delay it into the future, or you might even be able to make it happen sooner than it would happen otherwise. But that's just for really, really small ones. Otherwise, there's really not much you can do.
Thank you.
Well, let me finish answering Katie's question about how to measure this thing. And I forgot to answer that part. So the way an earthquake is measured is basically with a seismograph. And so the old style seismographs have a drum that's turning and a piece of paper on the drum with heat on it. And basically the drum is anchored to the earth, but the needle is sort of isolated from it. So what happens is the drum and the earth move and the needle stays still, and so it draws a big wiggly line, and then you measure the height of the line. So modern day ones basically work the same way, only it's done electronically. So you just sense the motion, the acceleration of the forces. And it's really measured as an amount of energy it takes to move the needle so far on the drum.
Very interesting. BJ.
Hi, Dr. Fred. My name is Hannah. Does it get hotter during an earthquake?
Does it get hotter during an earthquake? Oh, okay. Well, not so that you would notice, but down along the fault itself, the heat from friction, you can imagine Earth's plates grinding over each other, and let's say in a giant earthquake, you might take one Earth plate and drag it 60 or so feet over the other plate, and so that's like billions and billions of tons of rock grinding over another part of the Earth. And so there's enough heat there to actually melt the rock, and locally make a little sort of a glass layer that's made out of melted rock along the fault. And we can definitely make some heat out of it. But standing on the surface, just like us, you're not going to be able to feel that. The only way you can tell that it happened is to dig down into the fault zone and measure the heat or heat the rock melt.
Okay, thank you. Tessa.
Hi, Dr. Chris. My name is Tessa. Can earthquakes happen in water?
Hi, Tessa. Well, you mean they can happen underwater in the ocean, for sure. And so big earthquakes, almost all the big earthquakes happen in the ocean, because that's where the subduction zone type boundaries are. So you have plate boundaries where big plates crash together, and in the ocean, usually the ocean part of the plate will dive underneath the other one, and there'll be a lot of friction from that. So because the size of an earthquake is actually tied to the area that the plates are in contact, that means that those kind of boundaries have big areas of contact, and so they have big earthquakes. So all the Earth's big earthquakes happen in the ocean.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Dr. Fred. My name is Grace. How do you know that the tectonic plates move?
Oh, good question. Hi, Grace. The first way we found out was kind of indirect. We found out that new crust was being formed, and it would be formed at one place called the mid-ocean ridge, and it would be subducted at another place called the subduction zone. And we could tell by some age of the rock. It had to be new over here and old over here. And so if you're forming new crust and destroying old crust over here, the plates have to move for that to work. But nowadays, we have an easier way, so we can take a GPS receiver. So everybody knows GPS. Most phones have GPS and coordinates. But we have a fancier kind of GPS, and I'll show you what it is. Texas. There's motion of the earth to within 1 millimeter per year. So really, really small. And so if I set this up and set up other receivers around, then you can measure the distance change between one place and another. And so if you wait, you have to be a little patient because it takes a few years. But after a few years, we can see that where I'm sitting right here is moving that way to the northeast at about 10 millimeters a year, about that much. And so over about 500 years, we can build up enough distance change and enough force that we can have an earthquake. And then where I'm sitting, it's going to jump that way all at once. So hopefully not today.
Okay.
Anyway, it's really accurate. Yeah. So the earth, most of the earthquakes really well.
Well, thank you.
Hi, Dr. Fish. My name is Rose. Does weather affect earthquakes?
Hi, Rose. With maybe not so much affect earthquakes. But earthquakes usually come from pretty deep in the earth. And no matter how hard it's raining at the surface or how dry it is or whatever, the place down deep where the earthquake comes from doesn't really feel that. It's just too deep in the earth. But weather does affect secondary things, like landslides. If you have an earthquake, you're going to usually have landslides. And if you have really wet ground, you'll have a lot more landslides than if it's dry. So it does affect the secondary things, but not so much the earthquake effect.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, we want to thank you so much for all the excellent answers to our questions. I think we found out an awful lot about earthquakes and plate tectonics and volcanoes. Let's give Dr. Chris a big applause.
And I got to lay on the screen, I looked up the tallest volcano. It's 22,589 feet tall. It's Ojos de Salado in Chile.